education is not just a path to opportunity. It's often an act of courage and resilience. Million girls, this is just an estimation, were pushed into darkness, limited resources, and since we are in our foundational level, we cannot provide them with a formal education, but at least we can help them, or we can provide them a platform where they can retain their professional skill. If you don't have a degree, formal degree, but at least you will have those skills that you can use to earn real life experiences that actually harm many teenagers in Afghanistan. So we train our learners on digital safety. Global Changemaker Fellowship has also played a big role. It really helped me move from emotions to strategy and to practice. It's human nature. We always go protects with the negative aspects. Every day decisions are being influenced by culture and religion. So they're very much concerned about this gap between male and female. And then comes these kind of issues which are really frustrating to follow. We are all the leaders. Everyone is a leader in his or her own place.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of BADLAAV Unplugged, Conversations That Inspire. This series is brought to you by Global Changemaker Collective and Connecting Dreams Foundation. I'm your host, Namrata Gogoi, and this is the podcast where we bring to you stories of changemakers and leaders in the space of social impact. Today, we turn our attention to Afghanistan, a country where access to education has long been a space of control and a site of resistance. In the country, a complete blackout of the internet was very recently rolled back. But partial restrictions remain, and this continues to hamper access to the internet, access to information, and also learning. In a context where every click carries a risk, when we talk about education for girls, we're not just talking about a policy issue. We're discussing fundamental human rights. We're also, to a certain extent, discussing global international solidarity. Joining us today is our guest, Hamayun Khan. Hamayun is an author. He's an Afghan educator and also a leader in the space of social impact. He's currently based out of the United States of America and has a background that spans international business, finance, and development. Hamayun is the founder and president of SolaTeach, which is a digital platform that is empowering Afghan girls through access to free English learning, vocational training, and professional training as well. Through his work in SolaTeach, Hamayun is proving that even when classrooms are shut down, access to education can find a way. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hamayun. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Namrata. It's truly a pleasure to be here and reconnect with the Global Changemaker Collective family after a while. I really enjoyed my time as a fellow as a Global Changemaker fellow with the Global Changemaker Collective family. I learned a lot. What we have done so far and what we have been doing, of course, Global Changemaker Collective family has had a role in it.
Let's start from the very beginning. Take us through your journey as a social entrepreneur. Where did it all begin?
Growing up in Afghanistan, I saw how education is not just a path to opportunity. It's often an act of courage and resilience to the political tumult and to the political instability that has been imposed over the past few decades. When schools started shutting down and opportunities were fading in late 2022 for the Afghan girls, which they have already always been vulnerable to all these issues and challenges. I realized that, if we waited for a system to fix itself for all these issues, we might lose a whole generation. For example, 2.2 million girls, this is just an estimation, were pushed into darkness. They were banned from schools of sixth grade and beyond. So that's when in 2023, in the beginning months, when the Taliban, after the Taliban officially closed the doors for school, I thought, like, and decided to take an action as an Afghan. If I don't take an action, nobody else would do it for me, because I'm an Afghan and I know the pain of, those girls. So, and that is where, when in 2023 I founded SolaTeach, and it began just with one student, or and then slowly a few more students were added. And then a girl that I met online, with on LinkedIn, we connected, and we shared the same vision, the same passion, and she's been with me so far, like, from the very beginning. And over this, so since we had the same purpose, we thought of creating a platform for the Afghan girls and youth to continue their learning, if not in formal education, but at least something which could retain their skills and learning. And honestly, I would give all the credits to her for keeping up with me on this journey. And I really applaud her courage and consistency that shaped SolaTeach. She's been managing all the operations, the programs of SolaTeach. So she actually acts as a backbone for this platform. And secondly, as I just mentioned, Global Changemaker Fellowship has also played a big role. It really helped me move from, emotions to strategy and to practice, from just wanting to do something or to make a difference, to actually building a structure that could, last, and that could possibly help the Afghan girls that are vulnerable to what's been happening there. And that is where I learned that social entrepreneurship is not just about starting big. It's about starting with the belief that building, around purpose, and then doing, something to achieve that purpose, and also, of course, helping the people that are in need. For example, I'm in the US, right? So I have access to all these educational opportunities, learnings, and so many other things. So then I think this is my obligation to help those people back that are suffering. So overall, SolaTeach has trained around 500 girls so far. And then the cohort that is going on now, I think we have around 200 girls. We have four classes, and we have a team of around 19 people, including four people that work in the leadership section and operation and programs. And then we have a board of directors, including which includes five ladies. They're very well accomplished girls and ladies, and then two advisory board members, and then also we have a team of instructors. We have four instructors and three trainers, and now we are looking to expand our team of volunteers. So basically, everything is just like, I would say, a dream coming true. For example, we have people in our society, but then I think I would say I'm blessed to have been chosen, for this cause. But and I don't consider myself as the leader or the founder. It's just that maybe God chosen me to do this. Everyone who works for me are leaders. Everyone is a leader for me, because they do their best to help the Afghan girls, and also the students that we have. many of our students are becoming teachers. For example, I'm in conversations with my teachers, and we are trying to have them teach other students. If God wills, we will be starting our second cohort for this. For This will be a second cohort for this year, but the first cohort for the next year, which will be starting in January 2026. And the best thing, and I would say the success for me is that I get all these positive feedbacks and the interest that you know these youngsters show to work with me, or students. Like, a few months ago, I received a message from a father, and he actually sent me the voice messages of his daughters saying that they are interested in joining our course. So that's the biggest reward for me. And there is a lot being going on, but this is just a glance of SolaTeach.
Can you tell us a little more, Hamayu, about how does it operate? You've given us a sense of what the structure is like. These 19 people, all the volunteers who are also involved, they are also a part of this group of 19, or do you have volunteers in addition to the people that you just mentioned?
Yeah, so the thing is, these are the people that are officially in my team. For
Okay.
example, the board members, the volunteers,
Yes,
instructors,
yes.
they officially work with me, and we work together. And of course, there are people that they work with me, like, just, just because of their willingness and their passion for education, they help me. But then we are trying to expand our reach, and that's when those youngsters reach out to me, and sometimes I reach out to them. We do things like unofficially, but hopefully one day they will be working for
Yeah.
SolaTeach, for the people of Afghanistan through SolaTeach, I would say. So
Mhm.
yeah, there are still people who work with me for this cause, that are not officially part of the SolaTeach team, but they just work voluntarily.
Okay. This is a team that is spread across different geographies. That's what I'm expecting because you yourself are not working out of Afghanistan as on date, and the rest of your team is also similarly spread across different geographies. Is that the case?
Yes, it is. There is a trainer who's in Africa. He's from Nigeria. He had a webinar on artificial intelligence in the future of
Mm,
employment a few weeks ago. So and everything is being done through my network. So he
mm,
was with me on LinkedIn.
mm.
We were chatting and we were sharing all these opportunities with each other. So I one day he discussed this with me, like. What if I, support the Afghan girls through these webinars? And I was like, why not? So then we discussed this. And then also, one of my classmates from India, she's the part of global advisory board for SolaTeach. And then there is a girl from Jordan, whom I met on a global summit in South Africa a few days ago. She also showed interest to help, and then a few more people that I'm now in conversation with. So hopefully we will expand this team to like many countries, and even in the US. There were the thing is that when people see our posts and our mission and our activities on social media, they do reach out. And sometimes, like, when I meet them in person, especially in these conferences or summits. So they show interest to work for me. But now we have like people from India, I would say, and then from Jordan, Nigeria, or South Africa, and Afghanistan, of course, and now the US also. So my goal is to make it as a global platform. And a few days ago, I was having a chat with the Afghanistan's former ambassador to Sri Lanka. He also runs a nonprofit which works for displaced people. So we were also discussing about a possibility of partnership. Since he's also from Afghanistan and I'm also from Afghanistan, we share the same vision and path. So I think Now we have four partners, including Global Changemaker Collective as incubation and knowledge partner. One is in Afghanistan, one is in South Africa, then in the US as well. So, and now this again, another organization, which is the Displaced International. So I think we have a very rich, like people from diverse and rich backgrounds. So yeah, I would say like we have a team of people from all around the world.
Truly, you have a very global community of people who are the backbone and who are helping run SolaTeach the way it is, and are also all contributing to the success of the mission. To have gone from one student to over 500 in a span of close to 2 years is no small feat. And I want you to take our audience through how learning happens in SolaTeach, number one. And number two, also help us understand what a learner's journey is like. For instance, you've just spoken about a cohort-based system wherein a current cohort can also have students, the numbers which can range up to 200, maybe more, maybe less. You'll help us understand. And there is one thing when I talk about a certain journey, um, we also tend to think of the importance of education as what kind of better life chances is this access going to give me? So, me learning is translating into some result, materially or otherwise, at the end of it. You've spoken of some students who are now transitioning into instructors themselves after learning with you. But what is this journey like, or what do you envision this journey to be like in the long run? That the learners have come in, they have gotten learning from us, and now this is what it looks like 3 months from now. This is what it looks like a year from now, 2 years from now, across multiple time horizons.
Yeah, so as I just mentioned, SolaTeach started with very small steps, and we used whatever we had. For example, WhatsApp, Google Meet, and some shared folders. And what really mattered was not the platform, but the mission and the purpose that we have been working for. And over time, that one class grew into a network of volunteers and educators and motivated learners across Afghanistan and beyond. Um, and our mission has always been simple, just to keep education and learning alive for those who are in need for this, for education. And when everything shuts down for many of us and for our students in Afghanistan, SolaTeach comes into the play. And it's not just about learning English or other professional skills. It's about rebuilding confidence and believing that the dreams of those girls really matter to us. So what we want to envision ourselves or SolaTeach in general is that no matter what happens, no matter what the situation is, we will always be there for them as a last hope. And then also, if not in formal education, for example, we cannot, due to some limited resources, and since we are in our foundational level, we cannot provide them with a formal education, but at least we can help them, or we can provide them a platform where they can retain their professional skills. For example, in Afghanistan, there are many families who have lost their male members to the war, and they only have their female members in their families, for example, their daughters or mothers or sisters. But then you see, when the war takes away their male members, and then you close the door for them to not work or study, then how will they survive, right? So then we are there to educate them, even if they are inside their houses. We want them to learn from home so that they will be able to work from home. Because our students, we have seen many of our students apply for online jobs, and they work from home, and they also study from home. They have taken admission in US universities or Indian universities. So our vision is that no matter what happens, we want to provide you with the skills that you need. For example, even if you don't have a degree, formal degree, but at least you will have those skills that you can use to earn, and also a platform where you can study from home, so you don't have to go outside and endanger your life. So yeah, I mean, our vision is as I just mentioned, is simple, and our whole focus is on that. We want everybody to learn, to get educated, and defy all the odds. For example, if all these situations, political issues and stuff, we cannot change them or control them, but at least we can cope up with such issues. And how we cope up with such issues, through platforms like SolaTeach. And also, you mentioned that how this prototype will be, for example, used by other international organizations who actually work or who intend to work in the conflict affected regions. So we like they can use our prototype or sample of work, and also they can collaborate with us, so that SolaTeach can act as an interface between them and the community that they would like to work in. So we can bridge that gap between those affected by political or other challenges, and those who are in need of education or who are in need of their services, and the organizations like the UN or any other organization that want to work in those communities. And for example, there are instances where an international organization wants to work in conflict affected regions, but they do not know how to work or implement their projects. So then platforms like SolaTeach, who come from that background, who come from that region, they can collaborate, and they can act as a bridge between the community and the organization. So two ways: one is collaboration, and the second one is they can actually adopt our sample of work, or they can use our human capital.
Yeah, so um, I think this has also been a recurrent motive for us across different episodes, where ultimately the bottom line becomes that when you're trying to address an issue that is so deeply entrenched, there is no way to address the problem besides working as collaborators. And that is the secret of success within the development sphere, within the sphere of nonprofits operating across the globe. And I can see that message resonating in the way you've talked about SolaTeach and what you envision for it in future as well. And you've also been putting your narrative out there beyond your work through SolaTeach in your work as an author as well. So I would like to digress a little bit here before we dive deeper into SolaTeach and the work you've been doing. Please tell our listeners a little bit about the depth within your latest book.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I really love to discuss the topics related to emotional intelligence and spirituality and socio-cultural issues. So the death within is subjective in nature. It's based on my personal observation and experiences. And this book actually exposes the problems, actually the mental problems that are unheard of, and that have not been disclosed to the outside world. And those problems are actually arising from real life events, and real life experiences that actually harm many teenagers in Afghanistan. Um, so not only in Afghanistan, I'm sure it happens in every underdeveloped civilization or third world country, but Afghanistan is an example, and it's being used as a case study because from Afghanistan, and many of the families, and I would say like 99% of the people are Muslims. And when the decisions are being taken in families, uh, religion and culture play a role. So every decision is being influenced by religion and culture. So the main focus of this book is that how the misinterpretation of societal codes or religious principles cause inner suffering in teenagers, both girls and boys. For example, I would give you one example of this. Uh, many a time when a teenager or any other person wants to pursue their career, uh, their parents or their elders decide for them which career to pursue. So they are not independent in their decisions. And when that particular teenager defies and stands against the decision of their elders or parents, he or she is considered as someone who's not adherent to the cultural codes. So actually, the culture doesn't teach you to force your teenagers or youngsters to do what you want them to do. It actually gives us the sense of confidence and a kind of freedom to choose our own path. But then, in this case, the culture and or religious principles are being misused. So the thing is that culture itself, the religion itself, uh, they're very beautiful and they're made for the ease, to ease our lives. So those principles are being misused. So in my book, The Death Within, I discuss how the misperception or that misinterpretation of those religions or religious or cultural codes cause inner suffering in teenagers. And then I give examples of real life stories. And my own observations and experiences. So overall, the death within comes from a very personal observation, and it's very personal to me because it's a reflection of struggles, faith, and transformation about finding the meaning when everything around me felt like I felt lost and everything felt really worse and bad. And writing that book was almost therapeutic for me. It helped me process years of uncertainty and pain, but also allowed me to share a message of hope and resilience. Because as a teenager, when I was going through all those sufferings of societal codes or status quo, and then what really helped me come out of those challenges. So now in this book, I try to share my experiences and what helped me chase out those challenges. So this way, I would like to reach to convey my message and my experience to other teenagers so that they can help themselves just face those issues of. So, the book also won an International Impact Book Award. But for me, what really matters is the reward that I get. For example, if someone reads my book and then they give me a positive feedback, positive feedback not in the sense that they applaud my work, but how it helped them, solve their own issues or how the book resonates their life, so this is what truly matters to me, that the book continues should or I hope continue to inspire young people to turn their challenges into purpose. And a few days ago I received one message from an Afghan girl who lives in the US. She reads my book and she gave me a really nice feedback on this. And she said like how the book's theme, resonates with her experiences and how she loved reading the book. So I was not expecting this, but you know, hearing such kind of feedback really makes me think about working more and more, not through like works such as SolaTeach, but also through writing and research. So writing and then practical work and then using social media to spread awareness are I think important. So, and nowadays we are like a social media generation. Everything matters there. So yeah, that was all about the death within.
Yeah, some very important points that you brought across here. I think one common thread that I can identify between your work at SolaTeach and also the narrative that you have sent across and put out into the world through your book, The Net Within, is that at the very core, perhaps we're also talking about a concept of freedom and we're talking about a concept of agency. We're talking about what happens when you're working in a context that can be perceived as fundamentalist by certain, schools of thought. And how do you then exercise your agency as somebody who is operating within that context? And exercising of that agency does not necessarily mean shunning of those norms either, but rather a true identification of what those norms really stand for. And how can I exercise my agency within my practice of those norms and within status quo itself? And another point that you ended on, which is very interesting, is that very true. We are a social media generation. Access to the internet is our access to the world. And it is through internet access that you're also offering learning to all the girls through SolaTeach. But we also have a question of safety in this context. Because, truth be told, we are operating in a context wherein there is a little bit of political instability, little bit ambiguity, and every click does carry a certain risk. In this context, how did you ensure that there are certain digital safety protocols, or rather, what protocols did you follow or do you follow when you run SolaTeach in order to ensure that the safety of your learners, the safety of these girls is never endangered?
Yeah, sure. It's really an important question because SolaTeach operates in a society which is really conservative, especially when it comes to girls and women. Designing a safe learning system in Afghanistan means understanding both the cultural and digital risks that our learners face on a daily basis. So at SolaTeach, we have learned to work with the discretion and of course, creativity. And for that, we use platforms and tools as I just earlier mentioned, Google Meet, WhatsApp, and Google Drive, because these are commonly used platform and they're very cost effective. Because since everything is volunteer, we need to consider the financial aspects of the using these tools as well. So we train our learners on digital safety, and we teach them how to hide educational content, and not only them but also in our team we make sure that we use or we have our students join sessions in a very secret, or secret in the sense in a safe environment. So we avoid public databases, social media tagging. We never tag our students to disclose their identity or anything that could expose them. So we also work with mentors who deeply understand the local dynamics and the local realities. In this way, we have built a quiet network of hope learning, which happens, of course, safely, privately, and also with resilience. For example, uh, we always, like, it's human nature, we always go protects with the negative aspects of something. For example, there are people who say, okay, the schools are banned, there is no access to proper internet, then we are not able to learn. But that's not the case. If education is banned, internet is slow, then of course you go for the positive side, you go for the alternatives and option. So secure learning to us means protecting the learner first, because they come first to us, and they're the ones we prioritize actually, and teaching them in ways that basically do not endanger their lives. Because what happens, and unfortunately we have experienced this, and I'm really sorry to say this. There were boys who actually disguised themselves as girls, and they joined our classes. And afterwards they started texting girls, our students, which was really, really bad and which was really hurt, touching for me and frustrating, of course. And then we had to like identify those boys, and then we had to like remove them. This was some for me, like other challenges are not that much. This is the challenge which I really am feeling frustrated about, so so we take this thing very seriously, and that is the reason I when I mentioned a father texted me about their daughter's interest in our classes, so I had to make sure that they are really, girls. So I asked them to like how just make sure and prove that these are girls. So he actually had his daughters send me voice messages so that I understand, okay, these are girls. So like it's not about the political side or political issues. It's about the cultural side as well. For example, Afghanistan's society, as I mentioned, their every their decisions are being influenced by culture and religion. So they're very much concerned about this gap between male and female. And then comes these kind of issues which are really frustrating. So now we like basically we did not notice this thing earlier. So now we have the understanding of, okay, this thing could also happen. Because we don't know whose number is this, like, and who is enrolling in our course. So for that, we are trying to have separate classes for girls and boys. For example, there is a teacher for girls, and then of course parallel to that we have a male teacher who only teaches boys. So that's for me is an issue, but we are trying to resolve it in one or the other way. And even I had influential people on social media to post about these kind of issues, so that those people at least know and realize, to consider these issues which are sensitive. So I think this is the issue that we have been facing recently. But yeah, of course, overall, we make sure that we provide a safe learning environment for our students.
And this is a continuous and ongoing process because every now and then we hear of a technical backdoor being discovered, data of biggest corporations who have dedicated tech teams being hacked. And in a scenario like this, we're talking about privacy of the learners of SolaTeach, which is of utmost concern. And a very important point you raised where you talk not just about the political side of it, but also the cultural side of it and how to protect your learners with that understanding of context. And I want you to quickly tell our audience a little about technical access or technological access and how does SolaTeach ensure that for girls? Because SolaTeach also has a concept where you've made second-hand devices available to girls. So could you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically they use their own phones because it's rare that they have laptops, but there are some families who have laptops in their home, so they also use laptops. And the other thing is, which is really hurt warming, is many students do not have phones, so they use their brother or their father's phone. But the summit that I joined a few days ago, that organization actually they provide grants, small grants of $1,200. So I luckily got one of the grants, and then I used that amount to help those girls, get access to internet, to purchase the internet packages or phone, etc. So basically speaking, we use Google Meets, WhatsApp, and then of course the devices are phone and laptops.
In any context, when you're running an organization, to run a completely remote setup has challenges of its own, typically speaking. Sure, we exist in a connected space, but at the end of the day, it always helps if you have that face to face human connection, always. But you are running in a context where there are multiple odds. On the one hand, you have learners who are in a certain context, which, because of political, social, cultural reasons, places them at a certain risk. So you have to be very careful about that. On top of that, your model of operation is also very distributed across the globe. So you have people from countries in Africa, you have people from back home in Afghanistan, all over the place, right? So, and you have a volunteer network as well. Then you have some full-time people. What are the principles of leadership or principles of operations that, number one, help hold this system strongly in place together? And secondly, also ensure operational efficiency. Because when you're operating in a network like that, that spans so widely geographically, you cannot risk compromising on the quality of content or the quality of teaching that ultimately gets delivered to your students. So, what are the principles that help you hold it all together and also ensure operational efficiency?
Yeah, so the thing is, which I really love about SolaTeach is it's not built on hierarchy or a specific type of leadership. For example, okay, I'm the leader, and then this so and so person is the manager or the subordinate or the boss. We all work for the same cause, which is to ensure access to learning to the Afghan girls. And there is no, as I mentioned, like a framework of leadership which we follow. We are all the leaders. Everyone is a leader in his or her own place. And even during meetings, like I have had several meetings with the board of directors. I just started the meeting and I give the stage to the board members, and all those board members are girls, and I just ask them, like, give all your suggestions, and then you decide what I have to do. Like, I'm kind of the servant, and I'm not the boss or anyone. I'm just the subordinate. You ask me, do this, and I will do it. I'm the one who execute actually.
Mhm.
So this is it's kind of a decentralized style of leadership. Everyone has a role. Everyone has has the right to speak and decide. Because I know, like, whatever they decide will be for the best of, not for the SolaTeach, but for the girls in Afghanistan, because we want to help them, right? And coming to the operational side, you know, as I mentioned, like, I've not kind of given them TOR, terms of reference, or the job description or anything. So they know the main cause, the main purpose that we want to work for. They know the mission and vision of SolaTeach. So, like, everyone comes up with innovative and creative ideas, and they all of them have the freedom. Like, everyone in my team have the freedom to work and to decide. So everything is just free, and it's decentralized. Like, it's not like, okay, we have this platform, so we use this as an interface to reach those girls and help them. So it's not that we work for money or anything, but of course, like, if in the future we get funds or any monetary support, of course we will get paid. But then we all are the same. Like, we are a team, who have a clear vision, right? We want to solve those problems. So this is how everything works at SolaTeach.
Ultimately, what matters is, number one, a certain unison or a unity in identifying the vision that you're working towards, being on the same page as long as recognizing the importance of your mission goals. And that ultimately, floats your boat and ensures that there is a certain accountability in the way you operate. So that, I think, is very inspiring and a note for everybody to take into consideration. Because ultimately, what you're working on is, number one, I wouldn't say without challenges. And number two, what you're working on is truly giving us a prototype of sorts which can be applied across conflict ridden contexts. And What I want you to tell me, because we've spoken about this before as well, the prototypical nature of the work that you're doing and its scalability that you envision across conflict-ridden contexts. For our audience, especially those who are educators and development sector practitioners who are working in a context that is resource constrained or that is ridden by conflict, what would you say are certain key principles or certain key things, fundamentals that they should keep in mind as they go about running their businesses? Or what is it that they should keep in mind if they're thinking of setting up something?
Yeah, of course. First thing is understanding the cultural dynamics of the region where these organizations intend to work. Because there are people, there are communities, they do not care about your vision, they do not care about what you do for them. All they care about is how what you do for them aligns with their cultural codes and their lifestyle. So organizations need to have empathy with those communities, empathy in the sense that they should understand their core values and dynamics, respect that, and then in that context they can implement their projects. For example, if I work for girls that are in Afghanistan, I need to understand the dynamics there, right? So I cannot apply the US style of leadership or style of learning and have all these girls and boys in the same platform. And because I know what is going to happen afterwards, I'm aware of all those problems and challenges. So that is why keeping girls in I'm just giving an example of how we work. So then keeping girls in one class and then boys in another class, given what is being happening in Afghanistan. So that way, like first you adhere to the cultural codes, right? You assure that okay, we keep every value in mind. We want to like ensure safety for your girls, and then also having a girl teacher. For example, for us, we have all the teachers that are girls who teach those other girls. And for boys, we will have male teachers. So this way, you show them your accountability and your compliance to those cultural values. So for international organization, they can also adopt such a sample or prototype, because we have seen like international organizations from the West try to implement their democratic style in all those conservative societies, which do not give a result. For example, in Afghanistan, we have had all these organizations working for democracy and other things for the last 20 years. What is the result? Where is the result? No result at all, because you cannot just implement one style or one dynamic into the other like the other contexts of other societies that are, especially when they're conservative. So you have to, like, even when you adopt when you want to implement your style or your way of learning or anything else, then of course you have to keep in mind the local context as well. So I think empathy, understanding the codes, the roots of that particular society, and then in that context implementing your project.
Right. So leading with empathy and having an
Yes.
approach that is not trying to import what worked in one context into another as is the message that we want our learners to go away with. And this again is a continuing thread that we've seen in all conversations. For your intervention in a social space to truly be effective, you have to employ an approach that is bottom up in its nature, that is bottom up in its core, which works with an understanding of, hey, this is where my community works and this is what their cultural context is like. And I have to work in a manner that respects it, that embraces it. That is a wonderful note that we're ending today's episode on Humayun. Once again, it was very, very lovely to have you with us. To our listeners, if you wish to learn more about the work that SolaTeach has been doing, as well as about the depth within, we'll have links in the description to this episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Namrata Gogoi, and I'll see you again in another episode of BADLAAV Unplugged Conversations that Inspire. Thank you.